Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Neese. It is Tuesday, the 18th of November, 2025, and compared to yesterday, we're seeing a little bit of a shift in the weather pattern as far as severe weather risk. Welcome to Hotspot Weather, where we just take a look at a few of the weather hotspots across the country and a general forecast across the country as well. And look, I know there are a lot of channels here on YouTube that cover weather. I appreciate you spending some time right here with me on Hotspot Weather. Let's take a look first of all at the weather hazards map from the National Weather Service. And unlike yesterday, we did have some winter weather advisories for the Northeast and New England. Those have been allowed to expire. Much of the country very quiet. We're focused in on parts of California and the desert Southwest where we have flash flood watches, and also we have some winter weather advisories for the higher elevations of California, and then also some mountain snows across parts of Utah as well. And as I mentioned, the Storm Prediction Center has ramped up a little bit its risk for severe weather. Let's take a look at that right now. And you can see that the Storm Prediction Center's Day 1 outlook does call for a marginal, a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather across mainly the Ohio Valley, including much of southern Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. Here's your tornado risk. They're listing it at about 2%, wind risk about 5%, and this is within 25 miles of any one point, and hail chance of about 6%. So it's listing the highest chance of seeing any kind of severe weather with the potential for hail across this area today. We'll take a look at what the models have here in just a moment. Day 2, now they've got a level 1 out of 5 across central Texas, including the Dallas area. And we will be seeing a storm system that's affecting California and the desert Southwest right now, pulling out of that area and pushing off toward the east, increasing the chance of thunderstorms across that region. And then day 3, really from the Tennessee Valley all the way back into Texas, that storm out of Texas and Oklahoma does weaken a little bit as it moves off toward the north and east. And because of that, the risk of severe weather is a little bit lower across this region as we head into the day 3 time period, which would be Thursday. As far as the jet stream is concerned, we are seeing a continuation of this very active jet, which is expected this time of the year as the seasons begin to change. There's your bowling ball of a low pressure system, upper low across California, giving those rains and the threat for some flooding out in that area. And then that's going to be pulling off toward the east and giving the chance for severe weather as we head into tomorrow across parts of Texas. Notice too across the Northeast where it has been very cold to start the week, the jet stream pattern, a big trough moving across New England, that is pushing off toward the east as well and allowing for some slightly warmer air to come back in. There's a big ridge across the Southeast, temperatures very warm under that ridge. We've had 80s across parts of Texas, and we'll see that continuing to kind of build across Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. The coldest of the year much of this week continues to be bottled up over Canada, and really no change in that. We're just going to see these waves in the jet stream providing these areas of energy and at times some rain and thunderstorms again from Texas back up into the Ohio Valley. Now, one thing to note is as we get toward Thanksgiving, we could be seeing a pattern shift. You're hearing a lot about this on weather channels on YouTube, and there is some indication that we are going to see a bit of a pattern flip as we work out of November into the beginning of December, and there is the possibility that we could be seeing some much colder air invade the country and it turning much snowier as well as we round out November and begin December. The models still are waffling a little bit on exact details of that, but we'll keep you updated. All right, here's the global forecast system, the GFS model. And first of all, it has that little area of showers and thunderstorms across parts of the Ohio River Valley. That's where we have that level 1 out of 5 risk, mainly for hail and some gusty winds. Texas and the plains, very quiet. And then there's your rains across California, back into the desert Southwest. That system pulls out into Texas, organizes, and we start to see showers and thunderstorms become really prevalent as we go into Wednesday night and especially Thursday across this region. Dallas, Oklahoma City, both those cities getting into the action on Wednesday night into Thursday. We see more rain across Tennessee, back up into Kentucky as well from that system. But as it moves off toward the east, it weakens. And look at this. This is pretty mild air across much of the country as we head into next weekend. And except for the Northeast and New England, we see another kind of reinforcing shot of some pretty chilly air. So it does look like much of the country mild for much of the week. Next weekend, we get into another cold batch of air across New England, where we get a little bit of a break as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, after some very cold air to start the week. As far as temperatures are concerned, the coldest of the air giving us a little bit of a break in New England, and meanwhile, it is very warm across the southern plains back into the southeast. Look at all the 80s that stretch from Texas, close to 90 through parts of southern Texas, all the way back into Florida, but even 60s and 70s across the Ohio Valley and into the Tennessee Valley, places like Nashville, up into St. Louis. The coldest of the air continues to be bottled up over parts of Canada. Even the New England states that we're seeing such cold air on Monday and for today, getting a little bit of a break Wednesday into Thursday. But as we head into the middle of the week, this is Thursday, notice that where we see the rains, we start to see temperatures cooling a little bit from the upper 80s in places like Abilene and Amarillo. We're back down into the 70s, and the rains will continue spreading off toward the east and cooling us down even more as we head into Thursday and Friday. And temperatures are pretty mild up into the Midwest, but those areas that were so hot across Texas and Oklahoma, we've seen the temperatures back off into the 60s and 70s by the end of the week. Again, that's mainly because of the rains. Rain-cooled air across Kentucky and Tennessee to end the week as well, going from the 70s back down into the 50s and the 60s. We see seasonal temperatures, although a little bit above average across parts of the West, and then across New England, where we were only around freezing to begin the week. By the end of the week, we're up into the 40s. And then as we go a little farther into time, you can see there is a little bit of a shot of cold air coming in as we go into around Thanksgiving, but still no huge surge of Arctic air across much of the country until we begin December. All right, let's break this down by region with the regional forecast radars. This is the NAM3, taking a look at what's going on across parts of the Ohio River Valley for this Tuesday. We start off the day with some showers from Indiana back into Ohio and right along the Ohio River in northern Kentucky. But notice as the morning wears on, by the middle of the day, we're starting to see some thunderstorms develop Illinois into Indiana. This is where that risk of seeing some storms with some hail and gusty winds will be as we go through the daytime today. And then that begins to shift off toward the east and expand with showers and a few thunderstorms coming from West Virginia through Kentucky, down into Tennessee, and then into northern Mississippi and parts of Arkansas. This is during the overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday. That shifts down toward the east, but then a new system from the west ramps up after a little bit of a break in the day on Thursday. By the time we head into late Thursday evening into Friday, more thunderstorms coming in from that system that starts in Texas and moves off toward the north and east, but is going to be weakening as it heads in our direction. Speaking of Texas, let's take a closer look at what's going to be happening there. On Tuesday, fairly quiet, can't rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but as we head into Wednesday, you can see that Gulf of Mexico moisture really streaming in ahead of that system that's coming out of the Four Corners and into Texas and reorganizing and strengthening. So as we head into the day, Wednesday showers will become a little bit more numerous, but Wednesday night into Thursday, we start to see the better chance of some thunderstorms. This is as we head into Thursday morning around 6 a.m. Showers and thunderstorms across southern Oklahoma, thunderstorms possible across much of Texas as well, and that builds in intensity through the day. We get a little daytime heating, so as we go into the middle of the day, the thunderstorms are getting stronger. Moving through central Texas, the thunderstorms are getting stronger as well, going across parts of Oklahoma. This is the area that's highlighted for the risk of severe weather, mainly across central Texas, not so much Oklahoma, but you can see how prevalent the showers and thunderstorms become as we go through the day on Thursday. That's when we expect the rains to be the most widespread. And then back into California, of course, we've seen a lot of rain. We've seen localized flooding as well. And we continue to see these storm systems coming in from the Pacific on that active jet stream. There's that area of low pressure right there spinning across the Pacific and giving us those waves of showers and thunderstorms, not as widespread as we were over the weekend into the beginning of this week. But by the time we head into Wednesday night and Thursday, another system comes into northern and central California with more rains, and that will be keeping this persistent wet weather pattern with us. All right, the National Weather Service takes a look at hazards over the next 8 to 14 days. It is starting to highlight the chance that we're going to see some temperatures that are going to be below average as we end right around Thanksgiving into the end of November and beginning of December. That's what these areas of blue indicate. The areas of purple indicate potential for some snowfall across this region. And then across the southeast, there's the chance over the next 8 to 14 days we could see some heavy rains that could increase a flood threat. We'll be watching that. But overall, the Climate Prediction Center says that between November 25th and December 1st, that the temperatures are going to continue to average above normal across the eastern part of the country, but that below area across the west keeps expanding eastward. So it does appear that toward the end of November, beginning of December, we are going to see a pattern shift. And we've already seen one big lobe of the polar vortex affect us this year. Look for the potential for some very cold outbreaks with snow as we go through this winter if the polar vortex remains active, and it does look like the pattern could be supporting a pretty cold winter, at least at times across the country. All right, well, thanks for visiting me here on Hotspot Weather. Hope you enjoyed this weather forecast. If you liked it, invite you to like and subscribe. And also, if you are interested in tornado safety and keeping your family safe, check out my YouTube shorts for lots of fascinating facts on tornadoes and tornado safety. See you next time.